The United Socialist Party of Venezuela successfully carried out this Sunday the nomination process for the internal primaries due to next August 8th. In France, the extreme right failed to win one single local government in Sunday's elections. Republicans and socialists get a boost. The Yemeni military and popular militias take strategic heights next to gas and oil fields from Saudi-backed fighters. From the headquarters of TeleSUR English in Havana, Cuba, this is From the South. I'm Gladys Quesada, and now we begin with the news. The United Socialist Party of Venezuela successfully carried out on Sunday the nomination process for the internal primaries due next August 8th. Diosdado Cabello, the party's first vice president, reported that with more than 30% of the information processed, 27,602 candidates have been nominated for the different positions coming from the basis of the ruling Socialist Party. Cabello also highlighted that the number of female pre-candidates for the governorships doubled that of males. President Nicolás Maduro congratulated all those who participated in the process. And now we go to Mexico, where Enrique, the first hurricane of the season, is threatening to cause devastation. According to Mexico's National Water Commission, Hurricane Enrique remains at Category 1 of the Saffir-Simpson scale and continues to move northwest 75 kilometers en route from Cabo Corrientes in Jalisco State. The Meteorological Institution forecasts landslides and floods in low-lying areas and also rainfall in Nayarit, Jalisco, Colima, and Michoacán. In Peru, the General Attorney's Office launched an investigation into 60 former high-ranking military officers who published a seditious letter calling for a coup to prevent Pedro Castillo from becoming president. Prosecutors have 30 days to shape a case against at least 23 retired Army generals, 22 retired Navy vice admirals, and 18 retired Air Force lieutenant generals for alleged rebellion, sedition, and conspiracy. The General Attorney requested Defense Ministry's prosecutor to speed up the process by collecting defendant statements as soon as possible. In a letter, the retired officers echoed right-wing candidate Keiko Fujimori's unfounded accusations of fraud while urging for a military coup to end the current crisis. While Castillo was declared winner of June 6 elections, electoral authorities have so far not proclaimed him president-elect. Peru's interim president, Francisco Sagasti, denounced the letter as an attack on democracy while ratifying armed forces neutrality. Ecuador's National Assembly will discuss this week the decriminalization of abortion in the case of rape, the Ombudsman Office announced. According to the Ombudsman, this is an action in compliance with a recent mandate of the Constitutional Court to draft, within 2 months, a legal body that guarantees access to voluntary legal termination of pregnancy when it is the result of rape. The legislation has been drafted on the basis of contributions from organizations, women's social groups, feminists, people on different genders, public institutions, and citizens in general, the office said. The previous legislature had already rejected a draft bill on the same matter. Bolivia's Ministry of Education will verify as of Monday the application of biosecurity measures against COVID-19 in educational institutions as learning activities resume. The Minister of Education, Adrián Kelka, explained that within the measures should be included the semi-presential modality in the educational units, and depending on the positive progress of the classes in the middle of the pandemic, they likely will be retaken to complete in-person format in the educational facilities. The high official reiterated that the municipal governments must guarantee the sanitary measures of protection for all the students in all the teaching staff as well as the rest of the workers of the sector. The minister ratified that the activities that begin on Monday 28th will be gradual and will have flexible schedules. We'll take a short break now. Join us again after this. Welcome back to From the South. In France, the extreme right failed to win one single regional government in Sunday's regional elections in the country. Right-wing Republicans and centrist socialists made unexpected gains in the polls, characterized by a turnout of just 35%, one of the lowest ever. 7 out of 13 regions will be ruled by the right. The ultra-right party, national grouping led by Marine Le Pen, failed to win any regional government despite initial forecasts in its favor. In Yemen, the army and resistance forces recovered from Saudi-backed fighters a strategic area rich in gas, oil and minerals. Houthi Yemeni forces launched on Sunday a large-scale offensive maneuver dubbed Operation Martyr Abu Fadel Tumar from 5 different locations against the fighters from the so-called Saudi coalition, which they dubbed mercenaries, culminating in the total liberation of the strategic Al-Dahaida mountain range. The Germany forces also claimed to have destroyed more than 50 enemy armored vehicles, captured 11 Saudi mercenaries, and seized a large amount of weapons. Iran demanded signatories of the nuclear deal to make up their minds to save the multilateral agreement known as the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action. The pact, hands by a threat ever since United States former President Donald Trump skipped it in 2018. Lengthy negotiations have been taking place in Vienna, Austria, between Iran and the remaining deal signatories, United Nations security members Russia, China, the UK and France plus Germany, on the United States' return to the agreement. Under the agreement, Iran had committed itself not to enrich uranium beyond 20% purity in exchange for the end of economic and financial sanctions. Trump resumed and extended sanctions, and Iran reciprocated by resuming uranium enrichment. Russia and China will continue expanding their strategic alliance. Their 2001 bilateral treaty on friendship and cooperation has been extended, Presidents Vladimir Putin and Xi Jinping announced on Monday. The Russian-Chinese cooperation plays a stabilizing role globally amid the growing geopolitical turbulence, Putin said. The president also said that the countries are successfully pursuing a wide range of projects in the aviation and automotive industries, as well as other sectors. The Russian-Chinese trade surged by over 22% in the first 4 months of 2021, and new records may be expected in the end of the year, according to the Russian president. The Sino-Russian relations are at their highest level since the early 1950s, when the then Soviet Union provided the emerging socialist China an enormous amount of aid to launch the People's Republic industry. And the leaders of Iraq, Egypt and Jordan met on Sunday in Baghdad to strengthen political and economic relations. Egypt's President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi and Jordan's King Abdullah II held a tripartite summit with Iraq's President Barham Saleh on Sunday, in the first visit by an Egyptian head of state to Baghdad in 3 decades. The construction of an oil pipeline from Iraq to Egypt crossing Jordanian territory was high in the agenda. This meeting fits within the United States' agenda of separating Iraq from bordering Iran towards countries with softer policies towards Israel. And the peace talks between the Sudanese transitional government and the rebel group in the south of the country have stalled over disagreement on delegation powers from the capital, Khartoum. The talks being held in Juba, South Sudan, between the government and the Popular Movement for the Liberation of Sudan North were postponed in mid-June due to disagreements. The rebel group's chief negotiator, Amar Amon, told the media that although many topics related to the economy, security and politics were resolved, crucial issues like the delegation of powers between the central government and the regions were not yet agreed upon.
Major national issues should be decided through popular referendum as a principle also in future. So we will never, as SPLM North, we will never integrate our forces, SPLM competence into rapid support forces. We want to see rapid support forces fate is decided before we go there.
Ivory Coast ex-president Laurent Gbagbo has returned to his home village after 10 years of trial in The Hague for alleged human rights crimes. Thousands of his supporters gave the former leaders a hero's welcome as he comes to the village after spending 10 years in jail since his arrest for crimes against humanity and brought the trial in the International Criminal Court in The Hague, Holland. He was acquitted of all charges in March and returned to the West African country on June the 18th. Gbagbo was charged as responsible for the death of some 3,000 people in 2010. Gbagbo was then president, and violence erupted following his refusal to concede electoral defeat to current president Alassane Ouattara in 2010.
We didn't expect anything like this. Today, people say that when you go somewhere else, you don't come back. It was grace for us. The president has returned to his village. Today we are joyful. We are going to dance. We are going to dance even to the point of, in any case, only God can take us away from here today because the joy is beyond us.
Tanzanian ambassador to China, Muwelba Kairuki, has hailed the Chinese Communist Party for fostering development in China and other countries as the ruling party marks its 100-year anniversary. The African ambassador praised China for playing a leading role in technological development such as G5, which has benefited not only China but other countries. Tanzania is one of the African countries which have benefited immensely from the trade cooperation with China.
The anniversary is a milestone, a very important milestone to the Communist Party, but also to China as a whole. We have seen the effort to build the nation together. Now they are still in the frontiers in terms of building a community with a shared future through initiatives like Belt and Road. But also we've seen remarkable achievement in the area of science and technology. China is a leader in technologies like 5G, a leader on the Internet of Things.
Thousands of people turned to the streets of Berlin Saturday into a rainbow-colored festival to celebrate the 2021 Gay Pride Month on Saturday. Encouraged by German Chancellor Angela Merkel's recent strong stance supporting LGBTQ publicity during the Euro 2020 football competition and the European Union's determination to discuss Hungary's new law banning LGBTQ propaganda, people danced and cheered as they walked across the city. The Berlin Pride Parade was built as an alternative to Berlin's annual Christopher Street Day Parade, which is being held in a cut-down format as a march on July 24th after being cancelled last year.
It's important for us to take to the streets to demand our rights. And of course Hungary is unacceptable. So imagine if something like today was not even possible, because it's simply considered propaganda by Hungary.
We have a short break now. Keep with us. Welcome back. Zimbabwe has received 500,000 Sinopharm COVID-19 vaccines from China as the country continues its drive to inoculate about 10 million people. The Southern Africa country is set to achieve and to receive an additional 2 million vaccines through Sinovac by next week. The vaccines came at a time when COVID-19 cases have been rising and vaccines have been running out in health facilities. More than 1.2 million people have so far received at least one of their jabs.
500,000 today. By end of next week, we'll receive another 2 million vaccines from Sinovac. 2 weeks after that, we want to bring in another 1.5 million vaccines from Sinopharm. and want to carry on so that by end of August, we bring in another 3.5 million vaccines again from China.
Tens of thousands of migrant workers have fled Bangladesh capital Dhaka before yet another nationwide shutdown to stop the spread of the coronavirus. Migrant workers have opted to return to their homes than to stay in Bangladesh, as the Asian country is set to close businesses in the midst of the rising coronavirus infections. Dhaka will lock down most economic activity and confine their people to their homes from Monday. Bangladesh has reported more than 880,000 infections and at least 14,000 people have died from the virus.
What would we do during this lockdown? It's better even to start with my family in the village. Everything will be closed during the lockdown. There's no point sitting idle and in prison in Dhaka. I'd rather spend time with my kids and parents at home.
Local media in Barbados registered a new case of COVID-19 in the last 24 hours, while the national vaccination program is progressing successfully. Health authorities reported that the country accumulates a total of 4,067 active cases and also 47 deaths since the arrival of the virus. Barbados Prime Minister Mia Mottley reported that the vaccination campaign is progressing with good results. According to health authorities' balance sheets, 47.5% of the adults received a dose of the vaccine, while 34% are vaccinated with both doses. The South African President Cyril Ramaphosa has reimposed COVID-19 restrictions for 2 weeks to combat a surge in the highly contagious coronavirus Delta variant. Restrictions in the level 4 lockdown include the banning of all gatherings except for funerals, where only 50 people will be allowed, and a ban on the sale of alcohol.
Of the National Coronavirus Command Council, Cabinet has decided that the country should move to adjusted alert level 4, and we are therefore announcing this evening that we will place these additional restrictions in place for the next 14 days. And after 14 days, we will examine exactly where we are. We will assess the impact of these interventions and restrictions after these 14 days.
Argentine President Alberto Fernandez has led a ceremony Sunday to pay tribute to the country's victims of COVID-19. Accompanied by political authorities, civil society representatives and artists, Fernandez expressed his gratitude to health and essential workers. He also decried the social void created by the pandemic and restrictions required to control the virus. At the end of the event, participants left yellow roses and lit candles as a tribute for those who died from the pandemic. As of Sunday, Argentina has reported over 92,000 deaths linked to COVID-19, amid almost 4.4 million infections.
We are here in memory for each of the ones who were victims of the pandemic. Each one of them had a name, a life. The pandemic opens a void, builds a huge wall that prevents us from embracing each other. It prevents so many important things. It prevents to live a part of our life.
At least 7 people have died and dozens got injured in an explosion in Bangladesh capital Dhaka. The blast happened in the evening at a building in Dhaka's Smoke Bazaar area, and rescuers still working on the scene to help the victims. According to rescue workers, the condition of 10 of the injured was critical, with about 50 taken to the closest hospital. The incident also damaged 7 buildings because of the force of the explosion. Reports said a gas line or gas cylinders used by a food shop could be the reason behind the blast.
Certainly, this is a big explosion. Fire service and bomb disposal units of Dhaka Metropolitan Police Counter-Terrorism Unit have arrived at the scene. Their experts are working together. They are investigating the origin of the blast and the subsequent damage.
In India, bomb-laden drones have hit an airbase in Kashmir, leaving 2 soldiers injured. Indian officials said Sunday they suspected drones full of explosives were used to attack an airbase in Indian-controlled Kashmir. The incident caused minor damage to a building on the base, which is located in the southern city of Jammu, while the second blast hit an open area. Rebels have primarily used classic guerrilla tactics such as ambushes, hit-and-run attacks, remote control explosions, and car bombings. Forensic investigators are surveying the area. And we have come to the end of this news brief. But remember, you can find this and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. And also, if you feel so inclined, please join us on social media. We are on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Telegram. For TeleSUR English, I'm Gladys Quesada. Thank you for watching.